All right, welcome into the Bobby Carpenter Show. It is a big Thursday show. We get you rolling. We preview all of the games coming up. We'll have a little lift it or leave it later in the segment, but we get to cover a little bit of what's happened, some of the stuff that's going on, but really we're taking a look here now at all of the big games for the weekend, and it is a huge slate. There's stuff in every conference. There are traditional rivalries with USC and Notre Dame. You've got the Holy War. You've got Tennessee, Alabama, and we've also got our guy, Ben Scott Stevens. And I want to start, Ben, with that USC Notre Dame game. This is going to be in South Bend. I've watched a USC team the last couple of weeks that has looked a little rough against Illinois, and then they play Michigan, and you were at that game. Yeah. On television, it looked like they were the superior team, more physical, tougher, all those things. So is that how it appeared in person, and kind of how do you see this portraying now going back east to South Bend?
Yeah, it was a great scene inside the LA Memorial Coliseum, Bobby, on Saturday night. And what you saw on TV is exactly what we all saw in person as well. There was very little momentum for Michigan in the entirety of the game. There was so much maize and blue in the stadium as well. But USC played what I thought was maybe one of their best wins in a long time under Lincoln Riley. First win against a ranked foe under Lincoln Riley since November of 2022. So that was a statement, of course, for SC. But I thought what has been the kryptonite for Southern Cal in this new league in the Big Ten Conference, not the travel, but big boy Big Ten football, where USC has faltered and certainly did in its debut year in the league a season ago. And then after the win early against Purdue, and a game the Boilermakers actually held USC scoreless in the second half, USC played the following week against Illinois and allowed more than 500 yards to the Illini. All of the great buildup that SC had done in the first few weeks under second-year defensive coordinator Danton Lynn seemed to evaporate rather quickly. So I thought the challenge against Michigan, one of the best rushing offenses in the country, 13th best entering week 7, averaging better than 237 yards per game. In the maize and blue last week, one of the best rushing defenses in the country, only allowing about 77 yards per game entering the matchup against the Trojans. For how USC won, to hold Michigan to fewer than 110 yards on the ground, to hold Justice Haynes to his first game sub 104 on the ground in his maize and blue career. And then for SC on the other side to rack up 224 rushing yards, bringing that physicality against the Wolverines, I thought said a lot about where Lincoln Riley has this program in their second season in the Big Ten. Another very big test awaiting under the watchful eye of Touchdown Jesus. Not a Big Ten game, but a rivalry game to continue to move forward in the positive way that I think Lincoln Riley is trying to build here in year number 4.
Yeah, huge game, both sides. Notre Dame having the 2 losses. I'm going to stick with the Big Ten then. And you got a 5-1 unranked Washington team, which makes no sense, right? Going to the big house, and Michigan is favored in this game after what transpired a week before. What are your thoughts on that, Ben?
Yeah, Schlegs, it's not really surprising to see the Wolverines as a home favorite, even laying 5.5 or trending towards 6 points here in the matchup against Washington. They're back home. They're in a familiar environment. They're inside the big house, one of the great atmospheres in college football. Washington has really struggled away from home under Jed Fish. Just 2 wins so far during his tenure, now in a year and a half. It was the rivalry game on the Palouse in Pullman against Wazoo in the Apple Cup. It was a few weeks ago against Maryland. And coming out of that game, Washington was down 20-0 early in the third quarter. A great rally and a great resolve. And I think this Huskies team is starting to put pieces together. I think we are seeing some of the best quarterback play in the country in what Damon Williams Jr. is doing right now, emphatically so last week in Seattle on a Friday night against Rutgers. That's the question, though, right? Can the Huskies take that, an additional day of rest, and travel to Ann Arbor to make the statement against Michigan? Bryce Underwood has looked so much more comfortable, as you would assume, for even a highly touted true freshman quarterback at home in the big house than he has on the road, now in Norman, in Lincoln, and last week in downtown LA. If he is comfortable and Justice Haynes gets back on the right foot, I do lean with Michigan. But a key for Washington has been a really good rushing defense. They gave up some yards last week against Rutgers, but the Huskies the last few weeks have been dominant on the ground. Only allowed Maryland about 55 total yards a few weeks ago in that matchup in College Park. I'm a big believer in this Washington team. This should be at least one ranked foe in this matchup, if not two. Washington's a really good team. I think it would say a lot if they can win this game outright in the Big House about where they are trending in their second year in the Big Ten as well.
Yeah, it would be huge for Washington because I think they are an underrated team. That loss to Ohio State looked bad, but I think as we move along, you're going to probably realize, Ben, this Washington squad will probably be 8-4 floor, maybe 9-3, and they've got a really talented quarterback. They've got a good offense, and their defense, I think, is much better than what people anticipated. Another huge game out west, the Holy War. Utah, BYU in Provo. Interesting game. Utah the road favorite in this one, with BYU being a home dog. First time these teams are ranked. This rivalry, Ben, has swung back and forth. There's been stretches where each team has dominated. Kind of how do you see this thing going? And do you think BYU, if they beat Utah, they can kind of get a little bit of a stranglehold on that inside track for the Big 12 championship?
Yeah, this is one of the best games of the weekend. It's one of the best games that we have seen now in what will be the 103rd all-time meeting of the Holy War. Don't ask BYU if it's 103. They don't recognize some of the games in the late 1890s and early 1900s when they were Brigham Young Academy, not university. But again, this is the first ranked versus ranked top 25 tilt between the Utes and the Cougs since 2009. Bobby, home field advantage, you would think, would be paramount in this rivalry. We know how good Utah has been in 2 decades under Kyle Whittingham in Salt Lake. And yet, what's really interesting here is that Utah is a road favorite, laying 3.5 against the Cougars. Utah has actually been a road favorite in half now of the last 10 matchups in Provo. This will be the 10th meeting in Provo since 2003. Utah has been booked now as a favorite, assuming this line holds even by just a few points, 5 out of those 10 games. Here is why I believe Utah is a favorite. Utah has scored 40-plus points in 3 of their 4 games against power conference competition this year. The only game not against Texas Tech. It's why the Red Raiders are in pole position to win the Big 12 conference. 40-plus in 3 of 4 against the Power 4 is triple the amount that Utah had scored 40-plus against power conference competition since the beginning of 2023. What Devin Dampier has done in this offense under his offensive coordinator, Jason Beck, following him from New Mexico here to this spot, has been sensational. But BYU, a really good defense. These are 2 of the 13 teams in the country that allow fewer than 15 points per game. Is BYU getting the respect that it deserves, which we often do? Unbeaten, top 15 team in the country, but are their wins really as good as they look on paper? I would say yes. And here is how BYU wins this game outright if they are going to. Utah's rushing defense, a lot worse than that of BYU. The Utes giving up more than 142 yards per game. In what BYU has in the freshman quarterback who wears number 47, Bear Bachmeier, a long time the veteran running back in LJ Martin, that is a potent 1-2 punch and will be difficult for Utah's defense to contain. BYU wins outright at home. If that is the case, it's because of the ground attack. If Utah wins outright, and I'm starting to lean a little bit more to the Utes, it's Devin Dampier in that offense continuing to hum and maybe making some of what BYU has allowed, 21-plus now in all 3 Big 12 games for the Cougars, seem a little bit more fraudulent than what the overall average looks like at this moment.
So when you look at this, it's interesting because the only team that was really able to shut down that Utah offense has been Texas Tech. I mean, they've been pretty darn good, and that Texas Tech defense is very, very impressive. So I understand where you're at in that. I can understand why Utah is the road favorite, and Devin Dampier, he'll make all the difference in the world. They love to run the ball, and like you said, that Cougar defense is not great at this point. We still have a slate of games that we're going to get to with Ben. A couple in the SEC. We've got some that are also in the ACC. Always preview a little bit of Ohio State, even though that probably won't be a whole lot to take a look at as they travel to Madison to take on the Badgers. But a lot of stuff here, so stay locked in. Stay tuned in. I want to tell you about our friends over at FanDuel. They've got an offer you do not want to miss this NFL season. New customers get a bet up to $5, get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet $5. If you win, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use all across the app. You can build parlays, get the player props, ride the live lines, whatever your style. FanDuel, they've got you covered. The NFL season, it's here. The only question is, are you ready to play? Visit FanDuel.com/bigplay to download the FanDuel app today and get started. And now a message from FanDuel. FanDuel, they've got an offer you don't want to miss this NFL season. New customers, you can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Take a bet $5, and if it wins, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use all across the app. You can build parlays, bet player props, ride the live lines, whatever your style. FanDuel, they've got you covered. The only question is, are you ready to play? Visit FanDuel.com/bigplay to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Must be 21 and older and present in select states. For Kansas, in affiliation with the Kansas Star Casino, or 18 and older and present in DC, Kentucky, or Wyoming. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issue is non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. There we go. More Ben Scott Stevens as we get to the rest of this week's big games coming up next.
Creative, experience, results. That's what drives growth. That's what builds brands. That's Lake Spur Marketing, a full-service agency built on trust, strategy, and performance, not fluff. From bold strategies to flawless execution, every campaign is rooted in smart planning and driven by clear goals. We don't chase clicks. We build partnerships. We show up, dig in, and deliver every single time. Lake Spur Marketing. The proof is in our partners.
Welcome back into the Bobby Carpenter Show and some more big games that we've got to get to as we get with our guy, Mr. Ben Scott Stevens. And we've got games through all the windows. I want to start at one of the earlier windows, Ben, and it's a game that's probably not getting enough conversation at noon in Raleigh. You've got the Duke Blue Devils sitting there 3-0 in the ACC, 4-2. They had a tough loss earlier to Illinois. Georgia Tech, who's undefeated, if they win this game, there's a chance they could be rolling in to their final game of the season against the Bulldogs, undefeated, and probably going to be making the college football playoffs. So a huge spot here for Georgia Tech to try to get this road win. Duke a slight favorite despite being unranked. Georgia Tech hovering right there in the 12 hole. Does Duke have what it takes to pull the upset?
It's one of those spots, Bobby, again, from the sports betting and handicapping perspective, you stare at the unranked home favorite against a team that is now ranked 12th in college football. Georgia Tech as an underdog under Brent Key, as good as you will find around the country. What he has done for the Yellow Jackets, and now nearly his 3 years in Atlanta as the full-time head coach, marvelous. That is going to be Georgia Tech's key. The backfield of Haynes King, Jamal Haynes. Can they run the football well against a Duke defense that has been susceptible to it this year? We saw that against Illinois. We have seen that at times for the Blue Devils. Manny Diaz, a very good defensive mind. Very stout up front is what Duke will try to present in Wallace Wade on Saturday afternoon. I think the key, though, for Duke is just continue to let Darian Mensah rip. What Duke has done in their response following the Illinois loss, going down 21-7 on the road in Berkeley against Cal just a few weeks ago, in scoring 35 unanswered or 38 unanswered, straight points to win 45-21. Darian Mensah has been as good as advertised for a very hefty price tag in the transfer portal. Again, everything in me wants Georgia Tech to win this football game. I am on the Jackets, over 7.5 wins. I think even if they lose this one in Durham, Georgia Tech will be very much on pace for it. But Bobby, to your point, the stakes and the implications of this game for two unbeaten teams right now in the ACC, where Miami does clearly look like that front runner, but we are trying to find that second best team in this conference, in this league at the moment entering week 8. This is a huge game for these two teams. I think you could argue, and I think it would be a good argument, that the winner on Saturday in Durham plays Miami in the ACC championship game in early December.
You're moving.
Ben. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm just saying, wow, over here. Hey, so another big game. This is a 3:30 window. You got Ole Miss going to Georgia. Who is it bigger for?
Ooh.
Who's it bigger for, and who do you got, Ben? Because I'm thinking it's bigger for Ole Miss.
Yeah, I hear the point, Schlegs. It's certainly, I mean, it's big for both of these teams, right? A top 10 till Ole Miss in the top 5 last year. They knocked off Georgia. It felt like the win finally for Lane Kiffin, where some of the conversation, much akin to James Franklin failing to step up on the most significant stages. They finally got that one with a crystal opportunity in the Grove, and then they lost a few weeks later to Florida and erased their college football playoff hopes. Similar story here, but Ole Miss is unbeaten. So if they drop this game on the road as more than a touchdown underdog between the hedges in Athens, it is not the damning nail in their coffin that maybe last year's upset and hiccup against Florida would be. If they win this game, then I think there's a very good chance the Rebs are going to the college football playoff. I do not expect Ole Miss to win this game. I have been a little bit skeptical, perhaps, of the Rebels all year long. Not because of the offense, that is never a question, and what Trinidad Chambliss now has done at the quarterback spot, unlocking this Lane Kiffin offense, that is certainly something. I've been a little bit skeptical, though, because of the defense. That the last few years in Oxford, as good as you would find around the country, second best rushing defense in the sport last year, giving up just barely over 80 yards per game. But Ole Miss this year, third worst rushing defense in the SEC, allowing nearly 158 yards per game on the ground. That is where I expect Georgia to have some success. The key for UGA, though, is not just establishing the run and making sure Gunnar Stockton is in rhythm. It's slowing down Chambliss on the other side, because we have seen this Georgia secondary that oftentimes has been impenetrable in Kirby Smart's decade in Athens look a little bit shaky. They gave up 371 yards and 4 touchdown tosses, albeit in the overtime win on Rocky Top to Joey Aguilar. We saw Ty Simpson go into Athens and throw for 276 and 2 touchdowns and look very comfortable in doing so. Georgia was really good on the ground, defending the rushing attacks of both the Falls and the Tide those days. But I think it will be key to keep Trinidad Chambliss in check. Kejuan Lacey, who is a great running back for Ole Miss as well, in check. I lean with Georgia. I would lay the 7.5 with Georgia. I think it's a really big win for the Dogs. But if not, Ole Miss is telling you they are a college football playoff team, and I'm not even sure an upset loss later in the year would hold them back.
Yeah, they played pretty well. They've looked good. This could be last year was supposed to be the season for Lane Kiffin. Maybe this year, ultimately, Ben, ends up being the season for Lane Kiffin. Probably not one of the biggest games you're going to find. It's a 3:30 slate with Ohio State taking on Wisconsin up in Madison. That line started out 23.5. I've watched it move up to 26.5. It looks like it's coming back down a little bit. You know, Luke Fickell struggling up there to be able to get something going for the Badgers offense. Defensively, they've been pretty decent, especially in the front seven, but they struggle to move the football and been rotating quarterbacks and had some injuries. Ben, is there any way Wisconsin can keep this close? And, you know, when you look at the point total, I mean, it's 41.5, 42. I feel like Ryan Day probably won't try to run this thing up, but I mean, I can see this game being 42-3 fairly easily.
Yeah, on Luke Fickell, I don't expect this game to be run up. The question, though, Bobby, for how competitive things are even going to look in Camp Randall on Saturday afternoon is Wisconsin. It is solely Wisconsin, and it's the Badgers offense. Anytime you see a spread that is approaching 4 touchdowns, and yet the game total is only at 6 touchdowns, that tells you everything you need to know about what the odds makers are expecting for who generates the scoring and who puts points on the board. Wisconsin's team total in this game is 7.5. The under has the juice, meaning at minus 154 to the under on FanDuel. Wisconsin is expected to score a touchdown at the absolute most. I'm not sure Wisconsin gets to a touchdown. We all have seen the graphic this week. The Badgers are averaging 6.7 points per game.
Wait, you mean the graphic that you tweeted out? You retweeted?
Yeah, you Big Ten Huddle.
Well, you retweeted it.
Yeah.
That's how I found it.
Well, I thought it was making its way about Wisconsin being at 6.7 points per game well before I hopped on. But yes, to your point, And then I also highlighted how Ohio State is allowing fewer than 9 points per game in Big Ten play. Ohio State, the best scoring defense in the sport all year long. Illinois finally last week able to get to double digits against this Buckeyes defense, score a rushing and red zone touchdown. But I'm not sure Wisconsin can put up the same. And we said last week for the game in Champaign, Illinois had to get through its team total of 13.5. But would it even mean the game was competitive? No, it wasn't. And Illinois ended up scoring 16 points. If Wisconsin gets to 10, is it anything better than 35-10, right around that point spread of 25.5? I'm not so sure. Again, the Badgers team total is 7.5. The under has the juice. You're paying a little bit of vig if you think Wisconsin is held to a touchdown or fewer. But that's how I expect this game to go. The Badgers also can't run the football, which you would think would be a staple for this Wisconsin team identity-wise. It hasn't been, and you would think it would help along the poor quarterback play. It is not. Good luck to the Badgers on Saturday.
Luck is what they'll need, Ben. You do not need luck. You do all the research. We appreciate you, sir. You have a great one out there in beautiful Southern California. We will catch up again next week.
Thank you, my guys. I will talk to you next week. Have a great weekend.
There you too, brother. Ben Scott Stevens doing a great job. Go check him out. Ben Scott Stevens on X. Attention, parents and athletes. Protect what matters most with Export mouth guards, trusted by professional athletes and designed by NHL team dentists. Export mouth guards are scientifically tested to help absorb high-impact hits, protecting both your teeth and your brain. Export mouth guards, they feature 3 layers of advanced protection, including a patented use of carbon fiber. They 3D print that bad boy right to the grill for more protection, better performance, max comfort, and clear communication so you can focus on your game, not the gear. Don't take chances with your safety. Visit exportguards.com/Bobby to save 15% on your order. Export, protect what matters most. More of the Bobby Carpenter Show coming up next.
Creative, experience, results. That's what drives growth. That's what builds brands. That's Lake Spur Marketing, a full-service agency built on trust, strategy, and performance, not fluff. From bold strategies to flawless execution, every campaign is rooted in smart planning and driven by clear goals. We don't chase clicks. We build partnerships. We show up, dig in, and deliver every single time. Lake Spur Marketing. The proof is in our partners.
All right, welcome back in the Bobby Carpenter Show. We talked about a lot of those games, Schlegs, with Ben and Scott Stevens. It's going to be a huge weekend. We didn't even get to Alabama and Tennessee, running out of time with him. But, Pat, when you get a chance, toss it up, just the entirety of the slate so you can take a look at it. There is stuff to watch in every single window. In this night window, Schlegs, extra frothy, 7:30, Tennessee, Alabama, 7:30, USC, Notre Dame. Coming in at 8 o'clock, Utah, BYU. So really good games stretched across that. And even at 4 o'clock p.m., which is kind of riding that one with Fox because it'll probably go till about 8:30, Texas Tech and Arizona State. So you look at all of these games. What is the game, sir, that has going to draw your interest the most? What is the one that you think you will find out the most about this college football season this weekend?
It's a great question. I'm looking at them. I'm thinking about them. There's so much because, like the Georgia Tech game, that matters for the ACC. Could they be a 2-bid league? Definitely think the Big 12 is a 1-bid. But you got Texas Tech. Who's going to win this game?
They've been rolling, man. Texas Tech has looked like a juggernaut. Their defense has been playing big time ball. The game, Schlegs, that I'm the most interested in is USC Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame must win this game to get a chance to be still in the CFP hunt. And the fact that USC is ranked right now is good. That would give them their second loss. They would be 5-2, but still only having the one conference loss to Illinois. So they would still potentially be able to get in the Big Ten championship. And I think if you look at the rest of USC's schedule, fairly manageable. I believe they have Washington at the end of the season, I think. But I believe that there's a way for USC sitting there at 10-2 to be able to get in the CFP. So they can withstand a loss. Notre Dame and our guy Marcus Freeman, I do not think can. And so the question will become, Mayava has been playing really good ball. Did that Chris Ash defense, Schlegs, a guy that we know really well from his time at Ohio State, Have they gotten better enough? Have they improved enough since those first two games against two good teams, Miami and Texas A&M?
Top
But
five.
the problem is with USC or Notre Dame rather, their best win is two great losses. They need to get a signature win, and this is the last one left.
Bob, I completely agree with you. I understand why you like it. As a college football fan, and I'm just thinking again, the number one thing is you got to be in the dance. The Tennessee-Alabama game is interesting from the Tennessee perspective. Alabama has a phenomenal resume right now. The other one is the Ole Miss Georgia, only because Georgia, if Georgia Tech continues to roll, they play them. They could potentially be out if they lose this game. Yeah. Why does it matter for Ole Miss? It's not like they don't have a schedule that they can win and only have one potential loss, but Ben articulated the fact they kind of fall off. Ole Miss to me is back when you and I played, Bob, kind of the Michigan States, the Minnesotas of the world, where they started out 6-0 and then they just absolutely faltered and they're in the Diamond Walnut San Francisco Bowl or something like that. You know what I mean? So that's why these are so interesting. Then you have that LSU Vanderbilt tilt as well. Can Vandy rebound after the Alabama one? LSU, they did a really good job versus South Carolina after having a loss.
By the way, you didn't bring this up. That game's in Nashville. Vanderbilt, I think everyone wrote them off after they lost to Bama. They played with them pretty well through three quarters.
They're favored.
If they're favored by 2.5, like if they win that game, that's 2 losses for Brian Kelly. And you're 7 games into the season, dude, that's 5 games left with no leeway. You get that third loss, unless you have a conference where you think you can get to the conference championship and one of your losses is non-con, like that's a tenuous situation because you're probably not getting in the CFP at that point.
And here's the last one. And why does this matter? The coaching carousel, UNLV at Boise. Dan Mullen is the head football coach at UNLV, folks. Turn the program around. They can't even pay him. Like there's a thing, like they don't even have the money to pay him. So he might be already looking for that job, but he could be that guy. If UNLV gets in the CFP as the group of 5 bid, Dan Mullen, big time job coming soon.
Well, he's got to fight Alex Golish in South Florida for it as well, Schlegs. Our guy Golish getting it done with the Bulls. And Pat said in the chat, do not forget, Schlegs, the Krispy Kreme Santa Clara Bowl. I know that is one that is near and dear to your heart. All right, want to tell you about our friends over at Backer. The season is starting to change. The weather, it is here. It is time for you to get ready to go and be a professional and turn your phone off with our friends over at Backer. That's bckr.com, bckr.com. They've got the elite college football gear that you love, all across the wind, the rain, the cold gear, the hats. They've got it all for you. It is absolutely tremendous. It looks good. It's going to feel good on you. All of the features, it's built with quality, like the high-end fishing, skiing, hunting gear, golf gear you have. It looks good. It feels good. Use promo code all caps BOBBY at checkout to get free expedited shipping. Again, that's Backer, bckr.com. Thanks for watching this edition of the Bobby Carpenter Show. Stay locked in and stay riding with us.
Creative, experience, results. That's what drives growth. That's what builds brands. That's Lake Spur Marketing, a full-service agency built on trust, strategy, and performance, not fluff. From bold strategies to flawless execution, every campaign is rooted in smart planning and driven by clear goals. We don't chase clicks. We build partnerships. We show up, dig in, and deliver every single time. Lake Spur Marketing. The proof is in our partners.
Welcome back in the Bobby Carpenter Show. We keep you rolling along. We got a little lift it or leave it now, Schlegs.
Okay.
This out to you. There's a lot of job openings already. There's probably going to be some more that come around. The Penn State job. The question's written, is it top 10? I don't like that. How many jobs in college football right now would you say are better than Penn State? Let's start rounding them off. Start counting them off. Give me the names.
All right, Ohio State's a better job.
Okay, get your hand off your mouth. That's
I know, but I'm thinking here.
It's okay.
Alabama's a better
job.
job. Georgia's a better job. Texas is a better job. So here's what I'm going to say this.
Is Michigan a better job?
Okay, so Michigan is a better job.
That's 5.
Miami, better job because you're in the ACC.
Okay. They don't have as much money, but they do have proximity, and I think they have good boosters that are helping them out. So
here's the next ones.
Is Tennessee a better job?
That's a great question. I don't know. So here's the ones I'm going to say.
Is A&M a better job?
A&M is a better job.
All right, so we're to 7.
So here's the other thing. It's a better job.
How about Oregon?
The time you spend there might not be. Oregon is a better job, in my opinion, because of where they are and the funding behind it. And Dan Lanning has done a really nice job there. Here's one, though. Is USC a better job, Bob, than Penn State?
And so
that's a great question.
It really is, because I think they have the support from the alumni. The question is, do you have the passionate fan base? The one thing Penn State does have
passion
is they got passion. Now, they don't fill 110 when they're playing, some bad non-conference games, and maybe when they're struggling a little bit. And it's really hard. It's a big stadium. Ohio State always is sold out. Michigan, there's been times where they haven't, when they've been struggling. But Penn State, it is an unbelievable environment. The question is the proximity and where you're at. When you're in the middle of Pennsylvania, the recruiting base in Pittsburgh isn't what it used to be. Philadelphia is still pretty good, but you have to go to the DMV. You've got to go to New York, New Jersey to bring guys in. And now you're going to the middle of nowhere. And James Franklin had lamented this. You have to fly to Harrisburg to fly out on the big 767s because the runway isn't long enough to get out of Happy Valley. So that's also a detriment with the program. Is it top 10? I think it's right on the fringe.
Yeah.
You could make the argument that it is 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, depending on your preference of where you want to go and what you might value.
I'm going to ask you a follow-up question, Bob.
Let's do it.
And I know you said top 10. This is a little bit different. Now, in this era of college football, what are determining factors if it is a good job? Not just the school. What are the things that are required for it to be a good job as a head football coach?
I would say location, recent success that they've had. Like Florida hadn't really.
But guess what? You ain't going there. You ain't getting that job if they have recent success. You go into that job because
Penn State's had recent success. I mean, they were in the kids, young kids. The people you're recruiting have seen them be good.
Yes.
All right. Like that matters a lot. Florida hasn't really been relevant in a while. That's a big deal. Like Texas wasn't. Now they've gotten back there. When was the last time USC was really relevant? I mean, it's been 20 years since they had the Bush push with Matt Leinart.
I know.
Since Pete was there and they were rolling. They've had like little spikes where they've been okay. Is Oklahoma a better job than Penn State? Like that's
so I would say on that. Oh man, that is a good one. I think, like you said, Bob, I think they are fringes.
Yeah, that might be a push. That's a preference thing, I think. Do you want to be in the SEC? Do you want to live in Happy Valley versus Norman? Maybe you can go down to Texas.
I would take Norman.
Well, to go down and get talent out of Texas.
Yes.
But I think you've got to have alumni, president, athletic director that are all on board and committed to winning. And you need to have a fan base that shows up and supports. I think if you have those things, you can be in a good spot. But those are kind of the ingredients that you need to winning, which is going to kind of be lead into the next question that we have, Schlegs, and lift it or leave it. James Franklin's been fired, obviously.
Yeah.
Talking about Penn State job. Is Billy Napier, the head coach at Florida, is that the hottest seat among the rest of the Power 5 coaches? You got Fick, Belichick. You even have Mike Norvell a little bit, who they started off 3-0, but they've lost 3 in a row in ACC play. They beat Alabama, but they haven't won a ACC game in over a calendar year, Schlegs.
That's terrible. And you also have, I don't know why I'm blanking on his name, Beamer at South Carolina. Shane Beamer is one. That's another one. Hottest seat, I'm going to say it's right there. Yeah, it's pretty dadgum hot.
Well, I think they wanted to fire Napier last year, and
that's why it's hot.
He beat last year. They beat Ole Miss at the end of the season. They won just enough games. Florida's had an incredibly difficult schedule, and it's going to be tough. And I said if he can get to 7-5 again, you feel pretty good about it. And I think Lagway's on his side, their quarterback, DJ is. So that gives them little cover, because if you fire him, you're basically saying goodbye to your quarterback as well, who I think he struggled some early in the year, but he played well enough for you to beat Texas. They just got to find a win. I think Napier's is the hottest. I think Fix is maybe second. I don't know if at Wisconsin, Schlegs, they have enough gas to be able to fire someone and pay a $30 million buyout. Like, their NIL is not in a great spot. Like, they don't have a ton of money. And Wisconsin is one of those programs that is probably going to struggle the most moving forward with this new world of college football, with the fact that they realigned. You don't have the Big Ten West anymore, so you have to play a tougher schedule. It's not as easy a path to the Big Ten. And some of their best players are leaving the state, and they don't have a ton of great players to be there anyway. And if you don't have a big NIL war chest, how are you getting people to go up to Madison, Wisconsin?
What's crazy is the fact that we're talking about that Wisconsin, and I'm honestly lumping them together with the Purdues of the world, the Northwesterns of the world, the Michigan States of the world, the Rutgers of the world, because that's kind of where you are. And those programs are now going to be predicated upon lower NIL budgets and development and being strategic. That's what they're coming down to. And how do you once every 4 years stay relevant? That's kind of what they are.
Also, when you look at this, like, how hot is Sark's seat? Like, if they finish 8-4, maybe 7-5, I mean, they already have 2 losses. Let's say, they lose another. Now, winning Red River helps a lot, but if they finish 8-4, when you were supposed to have Arch and they spent all this money and you were number 1 to start the season. So, like, there were expectations there that you were supposed to be good. Now, granted, Penn State was up there too, and so was Florida State, but whatever. You were number 1. Is there a worry there that his seat could be getting warm?
Man, they were not consistent versus during the Tom Herman, and
they've got A&M at the end of the season. I don't think they beat them. They've got Georgia. That might be another loss. That could be 8. Vanderbilt, I mean, you lose to Vandy. I know Vandy's good, but just the perception, like, I don't know if Texas makes it past 8-4. Now, I don't think they would fire Sark yet, but I think you begin to kind of crank that broiler up a little bit.
Since 2021, 2021, they were 5-7. Then they go 8-5. Then they go 12-2. They go 11-4. Now you go back, right, and you're 8-4, or somehow they get. I mean, even if you do lose to Georgia, but you win the rivalry game, versus Texas A&M, and you're 9-3, you're fine. It's. I honestly believe it's how do you look. Remember, we talked about this too, Bob. It's not about where you are at the beginning of the season, it's about where you are at the end of the season. And are there guys developing? That's why Billy Napier kept his job last year. The guys were playing for him. They won some bigger games toward the end of the season. Let's see if you can run it back, but your seat is still hot. I don't think they would make that move, because I do think they believe in him, because before there was so much inconsistency with Strong and Tom Herman that he's kind of put them back to where they are kind of relevant. And I just don't see it. But you're right, Bob. They could easily be 8-4.
Absolutely, Schlegs. Well, that was our Lift It or Leave It with our headlines, brought to you by our friends over at Lake Spur Marketing. If you're looking to scale your marketing, at Lake Spur Marketing and their team, be your trusted marketing agency. They've got a broad range of experience, regardless of industry. They can help you out. Lake Spur prides themselves on not just producing, but also building those partnerships. They're confident they'll deliver results, but most importantly, it's about the relationships they're going to develop with their clients. Lake Spur Marketing, the proof is in their partners. Visit lakespurmarketing.com today. Coming up next, we'll answer your questions all across the college football realm and the Buckeye questions as well on Tailgate Talk here coming up next. I'm Garage Beer, and this is Bobby Carpenter.
Garage Beer. Beer-flavored beer.
Beef with an F? Okay, my bad. It's crisp and cool and doesn't taste like I'm Bobby Carpenter. I drink in garages because my wife says I don't belong inside. If you like a cold breeze on your bag, drink garage beer. It's American and so can you. Garage beer, beer flavored beer. Welcome back in to the Bobby Carpenter Show. Schlegs, we have to answer some of your questions.
I'm ready to answer.
Interesting that was thrown out here, and something by Troy. It said, if Indiana is committed to building a football program, that might be a better job. And
wow,
I think right now, and we talked about this a little bit earlier in the week, you look at what they've been able to do, and Cignetti was like, why would I want to leave last year when he signed his extension after the season? Like, we're an emerging college football superpower. And I don't disagree. Like, they don't have a huge stadium. They've got decent talent in state. The problem is a lot of their best players have gone to either Notre Dame or Ohio State, but he does a great job with development, and they're going to be able to get some backing with some NIL moving forward. And I think that may solve some of their problems.
They invested in their facilities, Bob. And I will say this about the stadium. The stadium size, how many does that seat? Like 60?
Yeah, they renovated. They put like a pavilion at the one end.
Yep.
I don't know if you've been there since they did it. It looks pretty sweet. It's not the biggest stadium in the world, but it probably seats 60 now, 65 maybe.
Well, I mean, they revamped their weight room because their weight room was in the end zone, and it's a huge weight room. I mean, monstrous. But here's the thing, though. When you're the head football coach, and this is what I really like about what Cignetti has done, and I think it's one of the reasons why Ohio State has been so successful. And we put up that thing the other day where Ryan Day has had 1 week in the last 7 years outside of the top 10. The dudes are getting developed. You got the 72nd potentially like roster. Dudes are getting better. Dudes are playing at a high level. Dudes are educated. They are developed. But you also know what it is that you have there and what you can recruit. And I think that as people go take these jobs, what are you? What is around you, right? Like a Minnesota, you have a bunch of offensive line. Like, do you have to run the spread? Like, what are the things and what are the personnel that are around you of people that you can get to come to your school that you can build upon? And the development piece, and you and I go into practice on Thursday, Bob, it is not equal. We talk about NIL stuff. You can have all the NIL in the world, but if your coaches ain't developing, and I'm talking about the entire roster, they're leaving. That's why Ohio State has had such success with guys not going in the portal. They're staying for years to come without getting an opportunity because they are getting developed and coached hard every single practice. That's part of the value prop. So I think you can be an emerging superpower wherever you are, but there's certain things that have to fall in alignment, and it definitely starts with that head football coach.
Pat threw out there the fact that Indiana Memorial Stadium seats approximately 53,000. So not the biggest, but it is a cool venue and it's big enough.
And you can sell it out and Oregon's, I think, 60.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be huge. It just needs to be loud. It needs to be raucous, and you need to have energy in there.
Yeah.
And it's only about an hour south of Indianapolis, about 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah, it's not bad.
South of Indy. It's a lot closer to a big city, and Indy's a nice city to be close to. Since we were talking a little bit about Penn State, and this is what's always interesting. The coach gets fired, and your job is to put the players in the best position to play. But there is like that element as a player, you got to make plays. And if your coach brought you in, hopefully you like the guy and hopefully you're a fan of his. And I always tell players, like, if you like your coach, you better play well for him. Yeah. If not, they're going to get fired. Now, it's more of an NFL thing than a college thing, but make sure you're playing hard and that you're winning games. But Penn State's players, like losing to Northwestern, like that's what got them fired, and that shouldn't have happened. There's guilt for that. There's a little bit of remorse, and you can click through that, Pat, and just see like they were not in a good spot. And you could see, ultimately as players, it's an overwhelming sense of guilt. Play like we got our coach fired because we didn't play well enough. We didn't do our job good enough. And now he doesn't have a job anymore. It's just a sense of ownership and responsibility coming from their center, Nick Dawkins, Schlegs.
Yeah, 100%. That's where, guys, it's so hard to impress upon. And it's one of the things that a head football coach has to do. with NIL, how does money in the locker room affect what goes on the field? Like what occupies an athlete's mind when they're going out at practice? That's hard. And then you come to the realization, because you lose 3 straight, that our coach is fired, Bob. And so it's like, how do you keep the main thing the main thing? And regardless of age, and we know the NFL is different, but like, you got to be focused on the things that are going to make you better every single day.
So one of these other questions, Mr. Bulldog throwing this out here, and this is kind of an evergreen topic that people have talked about. But it's interesting this year because same as last year, there's teams that are going to be left out. I don't know if anybody falling into this Final Four could make it, but will the CFP go from 12 to 16 teams? I'm not positive that it's going to. Everybody said it was definite, but the Big Ten and the SEC are the ones running it. I don't know if they are wanting to do that yet.
I put in there they better not.
Well,
and you know what I could see, Bob? I could see a 14.
Here's the thing.
I could.
Do 13 and 14 have a chance to win it? Do 15 and 16 have a chance to win it? They could maybe knock somebody off, but could they go on a run where you have to win 4 games? Like, that's the question you have to ask yourself. And I don't think that's the case.
Here, I'm going to do this, Bob.
Are you leaving out teams that are qualified to go win a national championship? That's the question I always ask myself. And I don't think that that's the case.
So right now, Bob, right now as we sit, 16, Missouri, 15, BYU, 14, Oklahoma, 13, Notre Dame. I'm just saying, as it stands right now.
Stands today.
Could one of those 4 win it?
I think
Notre Dame, Oklahoma, BYU, Missouri. Can one of those 4 win it?
I think Notre Dame and potentially Oklahoma with a healthy material. But the thing is, like, once we get a larger sample size, a lot of that will probably play itself out with where these teams are sitting in the rankings. So, like, that's the difference is, maybe not today, but they're going to play each other, and you're going to be able to figure that out. Now, Notre Dame's going to play. They don't probably play quite as much. They play USC, so that gives you a little bit of something there. Georgia Tech will play Miami, and they play Georgia.
Yep.
And so they're going to be able to do that. But, like, we'll find out, can Ole Miss, can they beat Georgia? Does Georgia beat Ole Miss? Like, and so you get to see where some of these teams are, because early in the season, they haven't played maybe the robust schedule that's going to provide you that intel.
Do you have enough time, right? How about this? Is there enough time in the season, the next 6 weeks, that potentially a Virginia, a South Florida, a USC, a Texas even, right? We've seen Texas, Memphis, Utah, Cincinnati, Nebraska. That rounds it out. That over the next 6 weeks, they could jump up. Like, just what you've seen right now, do you feel like any of those teams could go beat an Ohio State, a Miami, an A&M, an Ole Miss, or a Bama?
I don't know if any of those teams could beat the top 5 or 6 teams right now. Frankly, I don't know if any of those teams could beat Notre Dame when they're playing well. So Notre Dame's gotten better. They lost to 2 of the best teams in the country. Now, you got to win games. Your best win can't be two good losses. But I don't know. Texas Tech, I think, is really good on defense. Can they compete, over a 4-game stretch with big dogs? I don't know. Like, we'll see. Here's the good news, though. Like, all of these conferences, they have conference championship games. Teams will be able to play their way in should you get to your conference game, and then you'll have that opportunity to be able to get it done. And so that's a big deal right there. We're going to take a quick break, Schlegs. We're going to come back. That can be your side nuggets and your parting thoughts as we wrap up the show.
Creative, experience, results. That's what drives growth. That's what builds brands. That's Lake Spur Marketing, a full-service agency built on trust, strategy, and performance, not fluff. From bold strategies to flawless execution, every campaign is rooted in smart planning and driven by clear goals. We don't chase clicks. We build partnerships. We show up, dig in, and deliver every single time. Lake Spur Marketing. The proof is in our partners.
All right, welcome back into the program. Schlegs, make your final point, and then we've got a handful of minutes for you to throw out some side nuggets and parting thoughts.
So here's my thing. If you go to the 16, you 100% have to throw out the championship games, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think those should only count for seeding purposes, but
I think you get rid of them because it's just another game, and now you got to run another gauntlet
Does it
bumpiness.
mean
Right?
anything to win conference championships then? Like, because
But again, it goes back to the season, Bob. Like if you want to go to 16 or like I said, 14 and mimic the NFL, it's kind of like who are the two best teams? Okay, you got the automatic bye, and then we roll, and then those games are played at home. And then once you get to the championship games, right, conference championship game and the Super Bowl, like what is that for us? Great, that's how you do it for college football, and you can condense the season, move it up a week, and it ends on the first Saturday of January, like it should. Okay, so Bob, I got a couple minutes. Put that up there, Pat, about Emeka making history. I'm gonna follow it up very quickly. Okay, so here you go, Emeka Ibuka. Hey, Jackson Smith and Jigba balling. All right, but first player in NFL history with at least 25 receptions, 5 receiving touchdowns in his first 5 career games. Now, we talked about value prop. We talked about coaching and educating and developing. Play the next one, Pat. This is Emeka on the Pat McAfee Show talking about Heartline. Press play, please.
Yeah, in that receiver room, we always hear about Brian Hartline. So I actually played with Hartline. I knew firsthand that guy is an absolute stud on the field, and as a recruiter and a coach he is. But what separates him and Ryan Day, you think, as coaches that kind of continues? We know everybody has talent, but you guys just continue, 3, 4, 5 deep. It doesn't matter who they can throw to at Ohio State. You guys are going to get it done. Like, what separates them, do you think, as coaches?
I think a lot of the success that you see from the Ohio State receivers is a reflection of Coach Hartline's mentality. And it's not that he made us that way, but he recruits like-minded individuals, people who are perfectionists and, want the most out of their career that they can get. And in some senses, Coach Hart kind of expects more out of you than you expect of yourself sometimes. So he believes in all of us and all of our ability to be able to succeed and do everything that we want to do. And he puts so much into coaching us and making us know what we need to know to go out there and execute.
That was at Ohio.
Boom. And it goes back to the clip that we played about a week ago, Bob. And that was Vrabes talking about you can have different personalities, but you have to have the same mentality. And I'm telling you guys right now, that's what it's about. When you look at this landscape of college football, when you look at how Curt Cignetti was able to transform that program, different personality, same mentality. You look at Ohio State and the way they recruit and what they do, whether it's through the portal or not, and everybody gets their hair on fire because we didn't get alignment in the portal. Why? Wrong mentality about the money. Like that's the things. And guess what? You know that your coaches are going out there and developing.
Yeah, Pat, why don't we throw this last piece up as well with our guy talking about the brotherhood and everything that's going on. And, it's a big announcement. I know we hit it earlier in the week as well. But our guy, Nick Mangold, just devastating news to find out when one of your teammates, summating what he put up there, 2006, he was diagnosed with a rare genetic condition, knew he was going to have some kidney issues later in life, thought he ended up having more time to be able to get this done. Unfortunately, he was on dialysis all summer. Nick, 6, 7, 8-time Pro Bowler with the Jets, played a decade with the squad, member of their Ring of Honor, unbelievable human being. He was, he stood in my wedding. I stood in his, and he's a good friend of Schlegel's and mine. We love the guy, and he needs a kidney, and he has type O blood. So I'd encourage anybody to go out there, ColumbiaSurgeryCenter.org/kidney-transplant. His full name, Nicholas Mangold, his birthday, 1/13/1984. Put it in there, any way you can help. I'm type A, Schlegel's is type O.
Yeah.
And I told someone, if there's someone who needs a kidney that I can give to them and they've got a friend that can give Nick a kidney or a sibling or whatever it is, I'm all in, man. That's the relationship you have with your teammates. And it sucks getting old because this is the crap you ultimately see happen. And we were talking to Maurice Claret about it during practice the other day, and you look down and one day you're the old guys out here, and these are the things you've got to deal with. And so our prayers are with Nick and his family. Great Buckeye, a great New York Jet, and an unbelievable teammate. And Schlegel's one of the fun guys that you've ever been around. And
my goodness.
Followed him, you love the guy.
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, we got drafted together in the Jets, and obviously AJ talked about us going to that house, and how you and I spent so much time there. And it's amazing that I didn't get any type of diseases with as much swamp butt that was on that couch that I was sleeping on for a variety of different reasons. You think about those memories when you're dealing with something like this that comes up. And yeah, man, we're getting old, right? But age is just a number. But you got somebody that regardless is in need. So
yeah, Nick's one of the best, dude. Love the guy, and wishing him speedy recovery and hoping that someone out there will be a match and be able to help him. Big game, big slate of games, college football this weekend. Buckeyes at Wisconsin, 3:30 Eastern time. Be sure to check them all out. We'll be here again next week, breaking everything down on the Bobby Carpenter Show.